written about the Gajapati kingship, the Jagannath culture, and also an important aspect of Orissan culture is the maritime culture. You've also written about that. So tell us something about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. The maritime tradition of Orissa is great. I mean, Kalidas and others called Kalinga, Udra, Samudra, etc. I mean, Kalinga and the Kalinga are well known in Southeast Asia. Orissa does have a real old tradition. It was, some people say, a seafaring nation. But the strange thing is that there is not much yet known about it. I mean, we do much about Tamralepti, the great seaport of northern India towards the east in Bengal, and we do know quite much about Nagapattinam. I just published a book, Nagapattinam to Suvarnadvipa. There was a conference in Singapore which I attended. I edited this book on the Chola naval expeditions in 1025. We don't have so clear statements in the Orissan inscriptions. What is important and what would be important would more archaeological maritime archaeology, because this is very well known and done in South India and in Bengal. Not yet. I mean, there is only one thing, one Manikapatnam at Chilka Lake. About 10 years ago there were exhibitions, but it's not continuing. So there is still a lot to be done to excavate, so to say, the sea coast and its meaning for Southeast Asia on the one side and for Orissa and its context. I mean, we have Kalinga Nagara. Several places are known in the 12th, 13th century in Java, for instance. And the Kling, I visited recently in Malacca, Kling Masjid. That is, but this is not any longer really Orissa. It is also Andhra Pradesh. So once talking about former Kalinga and Southeast Asia, it is also part, what is now Kalinga Patnam, Kalinga Nagara, the capital, former capital of the Ganga dynasty. It is now northern Andhra Pradesh. So there ought to be also, I mean, scholarly communication. It's neither Kalinga. It wouldn't be totally wrong if the Andhra claimed it's ours. Here in Orissa is, of course, very much, we are now here in Kalinga Ashok Hotel. It's their property, but in fact it is, historically speaking, it is northern Andhra Pradesh, Kalinga Nagara, Kalinga Patnam, and to some extent the Muslim Klings came most likely from Andhra Pradesh, not from Orissa, because Orissa withstood, so to say, Muslim invasions for the longest period. I mean, up to Kalapahar. So there is important some joint venture. If one wants to work on Kalinga's greatness, and this was definitely the case, collaboration with them. And I mean, let me also mention that it was a great honor for me to somehow be part of the establishment of this Orissan Institute of Maritime and Southeast Asian Studies under former Chief Minister J.B. Patnaik, which is still there, but a bit more maritime archaeology in the sea coast would be quite great if that could continue.
As a part of the Orissa research project, the first project was very interesting, and now you've moved on to the next project. Tell us about both the projects.
Now, I mean, the first one from 1970 to 75, this was a clear emphasis on what I would now call the great tradition of Orissa, coastal tradition. This is Jagannath, of course, but not only Jagannath, Bhubaneswar, and Gajapati kingship. It was, so to say, a very strong emphasis on the Brahmanical dominated Orissan tradition. We had partly corrected. I accept, we were not criticized, but later on people said you overemphasized or you emphasized Jagannath at the cost Orissa offers more, much more in the hinterland. The second Orissa project on the identities, local, regional, sub-regional identities of the hinterland, which are folk oriented and tribal oriented, and I'm very happy that we have a special series, that in this series also Dr. Snigdha Tripathi, till her retirement, government officer in the museum, but I like to call her government epigraphist, published a real opus magnum, a big book on inscriptions. It is, yeah, if I may show it, I mean, these inscriptions show it very clearly. The greatness of Orissa is not only the Oriya identity. It's, you may call it also Greater Orissa, how far its influence spread, not politically, dynastically, but culturally also.
It was an interesting discussion so far, but I would like to put this question about your family. When you are here, what does your family do and how are they related to Orissa? How much are they involved in Orissa's culture?
My family? Oh, that's a pleasure, because I mean, I had the pleasure really that twice. I was here for 1 year with my family, once in the first Orissa project, second time when I was at Utkal University. I mean, for our children, Orissa, I should say India as a whole, because we also stayed 1 year in Delhi, is, as my eldest son recently said, it's an important part of our identity.
So it was wonderful having you here for this interview, and it was absolutely great to know so much about Orissa that you have recorded for us. Thank you so much for having recorded Orissa's history and culture, and thank you so much for giving your time here. Namaste, sir.